we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat. Period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
And you are on the lifeboat. On the other side of the glass is my partner, Mark Wages. Greetings, everybody. Before we get rolling tonight, a couple of things I wanted to talk about before we get into the show proper. As we said last night, if you wait a little bit, if you give about 10, 15 minutes before you start calling in, you can call in whenever you want. Don't get me wrong. I got a couple emails. You can call in right now, but just know that, there may be a little bit of time waiting. If you feel like it's an emergency, just, let us know that. And because there's nothing that is, more important than that. If you feel like your sobriety is threatened, then by all means, I believe they can text you, correct, Mark, when they're in the queue? Okay. Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was this. I go back and I watch videos, and I watch some from, mostly second season, but some from last season, because if I'm gonna address a topic that we've already done, and some topics we're gonna do 50 times because they're really kind of the backbone of everything that we do and everything that we talk about. So I went back and I was looking at some of them, and one of the things that really separates us from other channels, and I don't mean myself and my partner, I mean you guys. What really separates us from other channels is there's no judgment and there's no animosity, and it's just we've all been there and done that. And there are times people are going to come here and they're going to be wasted. There are going to be times that people come here on blow. There's going to be times people come here on heroin. There's going to be times that people come here and they may say some things that are less than appropriate. They may say things that are a bit off cuff, and none of you have done anything really recently that jumps out at me. But as I said, I've been going back through some old videos, and if somebody comes here and they're wasted, they need to be here more than anybody else. So we just want to make sure that we're always treating everyone the way that we would want to be treated if we were in the exact same situation, right? If we were coming here for the first time and we were on drugs, the last thing in the world we would want is just for someone to, make us feel like we shouldn't be here because we're drunk. I've used this before, but it's like going to a cancer center and having them say, you can't be in here, you have cancer. Right? It doesn't make any sense. An oncologist obviously would want you there, and we want anybody here. So let's just keep that in mind going forward. Let's all treat everybody with a level of respect that we all do. We do anyway. But looking back on last season, just let's be those people.
Let me
go ahead.
Add something just real quick, guys. And I know it's real easy to really want to come, like when somebody says something about me or Tommy, come to our defense, because I feel the same way. But just know that you don't have to do that. Okay, if it's something that's going on or whatever, we'll try to take care of it ourselves. We don't want you guys to get wrapped up into some stupid stuff. That's why.
Yeah,
we really do appreciate it. But
we do, no question. But from the past, we know that these people will follow you off of this page, and they'll take you to other places. And it's just, if someone's trolling or being an idiot, just let them be an idiot. It is what it is. So tonight we're going to be talking about relapse. For the old timers here on the lifeboat, for the crew that have been here for a very long time, this is nothing new. You've heard this all before. But for people that are new, and even if you've been here a while, this is something that we need to revisit often, because it really is the backbone of sobriety. It really is, and it's a concept that, unless you're hip to it, is not something that makes a lot of sense. If I say the word or the phrase "he relapsed" or "she relapsed," you go, "Yep, they got high, they did drugs, they got drunk, they went back and crushed 3 pizzas," or whatever the addiction is. But very often a person can spend months, weeks, years, truthfully, in relapse. And when you really start to understand the mechanics of what a relapse is, all of a sudden, hold on.
Yeah, full hope left you a comment there.
Let me. Hello, everyone. Great to be here tonight. Before sleeping, I had a wobbly day, and just hearing Tommy's voice is relaxing me. My prayers are with all of my USA friends during tomorrow's anniversary. Thank you, Full of Hope. That's very kind. And you know what? And our thoughts and prayers are going out to everybody that needs him here on the boat. And I would really be remiss if I didn't say that Lady Fiona Crispin and her family can use all of the thoughts and prayers that you could muster. The matriarch of the family, her grandmother, is about the same age as the Queen was, and they're sort of on a vigil right now. It will be over. If it's not over already, it will be over very soon, and it's tough on the family. Even after 94 years, it's always a difficult thing. So thoughts and prayers, please, for Fiona and her family. I really appreciate that. So the process of relapse, the important part of this, people, is that because relapse happens in stages, right? Because it's something that is very predictable, and it happens in a boom, 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 like one step after another. Once you understand this, you'll catch yourself. Often you'll realize, Mark and I have both made references to the fact that we were relapsing before the show started again. We weren't getting high, but we were definitely heading in the wrong direction. And the more you talk about this stuff, and the more you sort of drill it in almost to a point where it's like rote learning, the better a chance you have of hitting the e-brake before you get to the final stages of relapse. And depending on which philosophy you want to go with, some people list 3 or 5 or 6. I've even seen 9 stages of relapse. And we've talked about them in different ways before. We're going to do 3. I think going the 3 route is it's becoming more of an accepted standard. I think last time I might have done 5, but 3 is very easy to wrap your brain around.
It's like they have subtopics. It's almost like
correct,
like an outline, and you got to fill in under each heading.
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to put it, because and we'll go over a lot of those today. But there's 3 big ones, people. The 3 big stages of relapse would be emotional, mental, and physical. And just from being on the boat, and from all of us wrestling with this for as long as we have, you could probably figure out that physical is the act of getting high, right? Or getting drunk, or doing whatever the habit that you were in the process of trying to eliminate from your life. That's the physical part of relapse. And it's the one we always associate with the word relapse. Now, make no mistake, I'm going to get an email tonight, if not 2 or 3, of people that say, yeah, I don't ever go through those stages. You know what I mean? Like, I relapse instantly. In the beginning, right? It's not a relapse. It's you didn't quit. Relapse is not something that happens to you after a day of sobriety. That's the quit not taking effect. That's you not successfully getting off of the substance. Once you're off of the substance, now relapse becomes an issue. So, a week or 2, to where you really start leveling out in your brain chemistry, and all of a sudden, holy crap, I'm not getting high every day. You're actually sober. That's when relapse becomes an issue. And the first one is the emotional stage of relapse. And as Mark said, there's sort of headings below these things, and it helps make a lot more sense if you sort of think about it in those terms. Underneath there, once you start with the emotional relapse, there are going to be some things that are dead giveaways that you're in that phase. The first of which, and keep in mind, this is emotional, right? So bottling up your emotions. If there's something going on in your life and the people around you are saying, hey, Mark, you doing all right? No, I'm fine. Hey, you sure? Because you seem, like your things aren't quite right now. I'm fine. I really don't want to talk about it, dude. yeah, you're in relapse. I promise you. Because knowing full well who we are and the battle that we wage every single day to stay the course, if something's wrong in your life and you're in a good place in your recovery, when I go, hey, Mark, what's going on? You don't seem right. That's usually I need to pull a chair up because for the next 15 to 20 minutes, he's actually going to tell me what's going on in his life. And that process begins healing. So if you're not willing to share with the people who know that you're in recovery, if you're bottling that stuff up, first dead sign that you are in the emotional stage of relapse. The second one is it's almost similar in some ways. You begin to isolate. When things just aren't good, you want to talk, you want to go out and hang out. Now I'm just heading home. Or you may show up to the boat every single night, but you're not going to comment anymore. You're just sort of going to sit and watch because in the emotional stage, you'll begin to think about the last time you used. And in the emotional stage, you'll tell yourself, I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that again. Right? You haven't got to the mental part. Once it switched from emotional to mental, you're going to start romanticizing. You're going to start doing all that crap. But when you're in the emotional part of relapse, all of that sort of isolating, all of that, all the best thoughts in your head, you're fighting against it. Right? Yeah, I'm not doing that stuff ever again. Okay, good. So what's going on in your life? You want to talk about it? Nah, man, I'm heading home. Okay. Well, you're on the downward slide, and it's just a matter of time if you don't right the ship, so to speak. It's just a matter of time before you're going to hit an iceberg and you're going to end up at the bottom of the ocean because that's just how it works every single time. There's no getting around it. Three is, again, if you have any kind of a support group in place, whether the support group is the lifeboat, whether it's AA or NA or any of the other things that you do, church, right? Things that you've put into place as what? Connections, right? The opposite of addiction. If all of those areas of connectivity that you have with people that are helping you, even if they don't know they're helping you to stay sober because when you start blowing off all those connections. I mean, if you think about this logically, people, what are you doing? You're going back to the lifestyle that you led before you got sober, right? You're blowing off all of those connections. Now you can keep telling yourself in the emotional phase, boy, I'm never doing that again. But I don't think I need to go to the meeting thing, that I was doing that NA 4 times a week, and I don't think I need that anymore. And you know what? Maybe you don't. But if you don't, you're not going to bottle stuff up. You're not going to avoid situations and people. None of those things are going to happen. If all of that is going on, then chances are you're in full-blown emotional relapse and the dead giveaway. I mean, the one that it's the next phase, and it's the one that says you're in deep trouble. Thing, right? That I was doing is when you stop taking care of yourself. So most people who are in emotional relapse, you get clean and you're like, yeah, I'm eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm getting up in the morning. I'm making my bed. I'm doing all of these things, right? I shower first thing in the morning, and then you go to I'm showering every other day, and I'm haven't been eating breakfast or lunch. I just sort of do the dinner thing, and it's visible to everyone around you. You don't look like you did when you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and happy about being sober. The defining characteristic overall of the emotional stage of withdrawal is just not taking care of yourself. I mean, that's really what will jump right off the page at you is you're just plain not taking care of yourself. And again, it's really obvious to the people around you, but if you can catch it right there, you're not going to start slipping into the next one. And when I say not taking care of yourself, that's eating, that's hygiene, and sleeping. Some of us are going to struggle with sleep for the rest of our lives. That is a absolute stone cold fact. It's one of the things that very oftentimes people in recovery will live with insomnia at some form or another their entire life. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're in emotional relapse. It just means that you're an insomniac. However, if you're laying in bed and you're, trying to sleep and laying there and struggling with it, but if you just stay on the couch with your feet up and you watch videos until 5 a.m., 6 nights a week, it's a little bit different. You understand? It may sound like a fine line. It's not. It's a huge difference. There's a difference between trying to sleep and struggling with it and then reading a book for a little while and trying again. When you're in emotional relapse, you don't care about any of that anymore. You really don't. And it's evident to people around you. Usually you start seeing the bags under the eyes. And very often there are physical symptoms that go along with emotional relapse. People can absolutely notice it. And if you don't catch it there, people, then you're going to slide out of emotional relapse and you're going to head into the mental phase. And if you think about the things that we've talked about here on the boat, especially this season, literally your brain is going from here to here, right? Now, all of that is going to fall onto the frontal lobe, and you're going to start going into these the mental phase where you're going to start thinking about this stuff in a different way. Instead of feeling these things, you're going to be thinking these things, right? You're not going to be you're going to start to romanticize. You're going to start to do all of these things that I promise you are just preparing you for the next time to get high. It's really what the mental phase is, and it starts with cravings. You know, when you're in a good place in recovery, the cravings don't come constantly. Doesn't mean they don't come, but you're not sitting there for 8 hours a day thinking, "Man, I'd love to get high. Oh boy, I'd love to get high." If you're doing that, if it's taking up a couple of hours each day of you thinking and craving this stuff, I promise you, you need to start reaching out to everybody around you. You need to start communicating and getting with all of the people that care about you because you're close. At that point, you are really, really close. You're still going to think back to the last time you did dope. But this time, instead of thinking about it and going, I'm not going to do that again, I promise you, man, I'm glad that's over. You're going to think, I wonder if I had just cut down to say, doing it twice a week, if I probably, because I feel like I'm in control now. It's not like it's driving me nuts all the time. Your brain is going to start trying to talk you into getting high. You're going to start thinking of all the different ways that you can justify doing this. Man, it's been 6 months. You know what I mean? I already proved I could do this. I'm just going to smoke a little on Friday. I'm not going to do this on a full-time basis. But the rationale, you start to rationalize all of the reasons why getting high is not such a bad idea. You start thinking about or visiting with people, places, and things that were a huge part of your life when you were getting high, right? I talk about this a lot. If you've ever been to the town that I live in, you drive down 4th Street, you know what part of town you're in, right? Plain and simple. That's Dopeville. And, with what I do for work, there are a lot of thrift stores in those parts of town, right? It's just kind of how that works. And I pick up a lot of watches at thrift stores, but I don't go down there alone ever. And it's not because I think I'm going to relapse. It's because I don't want to be sitting in a car alone. I don't want to be looking at all of the things. I want to talk with the person I'm with. I want there to be a focus. Because if I start visiting people, places, or things, if I start going to areas that I used to spend time in when I was in the life, nothing good's going to come of that. I promise you. And maybe there'll be a day where I could walk down 4th Street bulletproof. And that may be a day. It isn't today. I promise you it's not. And if it's not, today after 7 years, I don't know, maybe 2 decades from now. The better thing is probably just to always have somebody with me when I head on down there. But if you start thinking about or visiting the people and places and the things that you used to do when you were getting high, you're in a really bad place. It usually will be followed the next step by minimization, right? You're going to start minimizing all of the things. People will say, boy, Tommy, you were doing a ton of dope there at the end. I mean, yeah, you know what I really was? I was doing like 7 grams, but a lot of that I was smoking. And when you smoke the stuff, it's not like I was shooting 7 grams because that's a pile, right? I mean, when you smoke it, some of it's wasted into the air, and a lot of it, you're just, you don't get the same punch. And you start talking like that, something bad's happening. The answer to that should be, God, you're right. But if you start minimizing the damage that you did, I've seen people so many times come to the lifeboat and say, I can't believe the number of people that I hurt in my life while doing this stuff. That's really healthy. It really is. I don't mean to obsess about it, but to realize the things that we've done is a very, very healthy thing in recovery. But if you start going, you know what, those people, I mean, hell, they were in the life too, right? They knew what was up with me. She wouldn't, if she married a dope head, you get what you got coming, right? If you start minimizing all of those things, yeah, I did some stealing, but it's not like I ever really stole from someone I cared about or any of that kind of talk. That's your mind literally talking you back into doing dope. And when you start to realize that you're minimalizing, first of all, you let it go too far. You should have nipped it in the bud back when you started feeling this stuff on the emotional scale. But when you start to minimize, the next thing that's going to happen is lying. And this is fascinating to me. It really is. Because you'll see people lie. And I don't mean that they're going to go, yeah, I know I didn't get high or I didn't do those things. No, it's just that the habit of lying will start again. You come home and you're 20 minutes late because you did whatever, right? I met somebody at 7-Eleven and I talked to him for 20 minutes and your significant other goes, hey, running about 20 minutes late. Yeah, traffic was just hell. It's terrible. It's bumper to bumper, man. Yeah, so I'm running a little late. No reason whatsoever to not just say I ran into a friend at 7-Eleven and we talked for a little bit. You remember what's his name, right? Yeah, we just sat and talked. But when you're in this stage of relapse, it's like your brain is preparing you to get back to who you used to be. Truthfully, it's exactly what's happening. So if you find yourself telling little white lies, right, and then rationalizing those, yeah, you know what? I told her that it was traffic, but I just didn't feel like telling her because she never really liked this dude, and she's probably going to give me crap that I sat and talked to him, and I just didn't feel like hearing it. So, well, I mean, no harm, no foul. I told her it was traffic. No, you're in trouble. You're in trouble because lying is the fruit, right, of addiction. It is the byproduct of everything that happens when you're getting wasted. And I'm telling you, all of these things, all of these steps are just preparing you to get back to who you were. Crazy to think about, but this is, and it follows this pattern. People, like, I'm telling you, it's a roadmap, and it follows that roadmap time and time and time again. Does not change. It's almost crazy. And then you start really focusing on the myth of control. You'll actually start looking at things like, you'll look at other YouTube channels to see if there's anybody talking about how they went from getting wasted to controlling their drinking or whatever the case may be. Which candy is never on time? Chocolate. Nice. Well played. Good to see you, seventh. You gotta love it.
I love that stuff, man. I tell you, anybody can put a smile on somebody's face. You've did something good for the day.
Right. Consistently.
Yeah.
The man's researching these during the day too, because at this point we're into the hundreds. He's told really told a lot of them.
He's reading the bathroom stalls.
Right, exactly. He said he's hit all of them. Yeah.
I want to say congratulations to Miss V too. Says she's gotten off of everything, that's awesome stuff.
Well done, V.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That was.
I got to be honest with you. I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
I really am not. It's like we were talking about yesterday. You see people that you get a couple under your belt, and then you start looking for other things to quit. You start looking for, because it's always moving in that direction, and you just know that you're becoming a better version of yourself the entire time. But if you start fantasizing or thinking about or talking about control, I remember the relapse. The last really good one that I had was after I got out of prison the previous time, and I remember being on the phone with Jack and talking to him about people and saying, yeah, so and so says he just chips now, which is a term to use heroin and not get it addicted, never have a habit. I just do it on the weekends or whatever. I'm like, yeah, he says he's chipping. And I remember Jack going, dude, people don't chip. I can tell you whatever you want. In fact, I think he was the first person who said to me, the reason they call it chipping is because in the history of humanity, only one dude ever did it, and his name was Chip. No one else has ever pulled that off. It just doesn't really happen. But I literally went right down this list. I started lying. I started, doing all these things. I destroyed a marriage. I destroyed all the relationships that I was building back by being sober. And the second to the last one was that myth of control. I really started thinking about it. And I think I've told the story before, but I carved a couple of things. It was a rock that had the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 on it. And I would keep it in my pants pocket. Right. So I knew it was the first day of doing heroin, or the second day of doing heroin, or the third day of doing heroin. And on that fourth day, I couldn't use. I would take one full day off to ensure that I wouldn't get addicted. Then I would go back and put that one rock in my pocket again, because I was never going to accidentally do it 4 days in a row. Because after you've been as addicted as I have been in the past, 4 days and you're a drug addict. It's that simple. And I remember the day where it was day 3, and I woke up the following morning and I was like, yeah, I don't care anymore. Just going to do this. And I didn't relapse that day. I relapsed 5 months earlier.
Yep.
When I said I was heading over to 4th Street to go look for shirts. Had nothing to do with that. I mean, my brain may not have been aware of what I was doing. Oh, Johnny says, I found myself thinking about Jess a bunch today. Hope she's doing well. Yeah, me too. You know what? I think I would imagine a decent number of people found themselves thinking about that. I get this a lot, and I get emails from people a lot who will say, I really was, wondering about that.
Is Rip in here?
I don't know if I saw Rip Curl.
They're saying hi to him. I don't see him in the chat.
Yeah, I haven't seen him either. Odd.
It's really odd.
Equisai says chipping for 30 years. Yeah, that was me. 3 decades of chipping. I just never could get that whole taking a day off part down. But the rest of it had that on lock. There was no problem at all. And then the very last thing that is going to happen to you in the mental phase of relapse is, and this is something that is insidious, because I promise you, this lives on two levels, right? This will happen in your subconscious, whether you're thinking about it or not. But you will begin to look for opportunities to get wasted. For real. And I remember times in my life, like the difference between a good relapse and a bad relapse. The last relapse of my life, I remember every single thing about that relapse. And I had a little convertible Mercedes Benz at the time, and I was driving through downtown Reno, and I saw a guy going in the opposite direction, except he was on a bike, and it was just a guy I knew was an addict. And if I had just kept driving, I don't know that I would have not gotten high, but I wouldn't have got high that day. Instead, I immediately whipped a U-turn, and in my head, I was just saying, "Yeah, I just want to say hi to the guy. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. I had been in prison, and turns out he had been too. He had just gotten out, and sure as hell, he was holding. And so you just start looking for those opportunities. And if your substance of choice was alcohol, you start trying to find yourself going to places like parties and going to places where alcohol is served, and especially trying to surround yourself with people that aren't going to give you a lick of crap for ordering a cocktail, right? You start honestly looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
Jimmy Pickles, good to see you, Jimmy.
Yep.
It really is. It's really one of those things where you start to actively look, and that's it, people. When you get past that phase, you're into physical withdrawal. That's going to be the very last phase before you say, you know what, screw it, and you pick up a beer, or you call a dope man, or you put yourself on 4th Street, or whatever the case may be, so that you have the opportunity to relapse. You put yourself into a position to ensure that you have an opportunity to do drugs. And make no mistake, there are people who will use once, right? Or I have a friend that tells an amazing story about this. He was a drinker for like 30 years, and he managed to get sober. He had a couple of DWIs and was in some trouble, and he was on paper. So he had a probation officer and all of that. And his friend came by and said, I'm going to see a baseball game if you want to come. And he thought, oh, I can't go to a baseball game, man. That's just crazy. I'm liable to drink if I go there, because they used to do that together constantly. But he said he went to the baseball game, and said he had a hot dog and 3 beers. And he went home and said, nothing to it. Nothing to it. He said, 3 beers. He said, I got this licked. So the next night, his friend called and said, you want to go out? He said, no, I think I'm good. I don't want to. But when that away game series was over, they were back in town, the minor league team. So he went and saw him again. And I said to him, drink a few more than 3? He said, I only had 5. He said, no big deal. He said, I went home, just 5 of them. And I said, but the next time? He said, I had to be at court at 9 o'clock in the morning. He said, I drank the night before, and when I woke up, I had a hangover. He said, and I had a 2-liter plastic vodka bottle that he was squeezing as hard as he could to try to force more of this down his throat. And he proceeded to drink a gallon of vodka and wind up in the hospital. Once the torch is lit, people, I had a really interesting conversation with a crew member on the boat the other day, actually, and we were texting back and forth to each other. The addiction, I hope you understand that the addiction does not go away, and it doesn't go to sleep. We've used the illustration before, it pumps iron. It is out there growing. And this is a phenomenon that I don't even think scientists completely understand. But your addiction does not slow down, it increases. So I haven't done any dope in 7 years. But if I were to start tomorrow, it doesn't mean I would do 8 grams tomorrow, because 8 grams tomorrow would kill me. Probably 2 grams tomorrow would kill me. But within about a week, I'd hit that 8-gram mark, or 9 grams or 10 grams, because my habit has been raging inside my brain and inside my body, just waiting for me to light that match, right? It has been building the biggest stick house made of matches, and it's just waiting for that one flame, and my entire life will go up and be up in seconds. Yeah. I promise you it will.
You've been justifying it for months.
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's what you're doing. You're trying to convince yourself it's okay. It's really
Yep.
what's going on there. And the second that you think it's okay is the second that you're really in trouble.
Yeah.
And I think, talking about the three stages, I think for me the biggest one there is the mental one. I can get my emotions in check, and I know that withdrawal is going to suck physically, but what lingers, guys, is the mental part of it, because you're going to be on a constant battle for some time, and that starts to ease up as you get further along. But we say this often, sometimes you got to take it 1 second at a time.
Sure.
That's
Yep.
really where it's at, guys. You can't. And something else that I did early in recovery, and I don't even know where it's at now, but I actually wrote down all my bad traits. I might have even did it in rehab, the in-house stuff I was doing.
Yeah.
42 days sober. Good job, Brandon. Congrats, brother.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. But I would write down all those traits that I did not like about myself that I thought contributed to my addiction. And I'm telling you guys, the first one that came out of my mouth right there, because I was now being honest, was lying.
Lying. Yeah,
That's the
absolutely.
first thing, guys. It is so. That right there to me, that's the bridge to all other negativity. Because like Tommy said, catch yourself lying over nothing. Why? Why are you lying about stuff like this? And it's your brain going back to the old person that you were.
Sure. Yeah, it's a habit. It's like anything else, and that striatum part of the brain that we discussed, for years as addicts. And Mark brings up a really cool point. I'm glad that you talked about this, because for years as drug addicts, we want the path of least resistance. So if there's going to be even a slight bump in the road, we're going to lie about it. So we have trained our brain for all of this time. Now we retrain it. Now you're living a good life. You're doing everything right. I don't lie about anything. Well, when you start to slide, you're going back into those old habits. And like the illustration I used earlier. Hey man, you're 20 minutes late. Your striatum goes, this could be an argument. She's not happy that you're late. Right? Go to the default setting. Lie. And if you catch yourself doing that, and if you've been on the boat for any length of time, you heard my partner say this happened to him. He found himself lying to his wife about something that made absolutely just a ridiculous, stupid thing to lie about. But in his case, he said he spit out the answer, like under the same example I just used. Hey, you know what? The traffic was just absolutely awesome. I don't know why I said that. I've been at 7-Eleven. I've been talking to my friend, like literally caught himself that quickly. And that's that's the key to this, people. What we're talking about tonight is not so you will just know what these are because they're fun to, So when I describe a relapse and I say, well, I was in relapse, but I wasn't using, I'm not telling you this so you'll understand what I'm talking about. I'm telling you this so that you'll have an opportunity to do what Mark did, where when you hear a lie come out of your mouth, you go, holy,
What
you
happened?
know what? Like, what the hell's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like me at 7-Eleven. You know what I mean? I pick up the headphones, right? I look around, I go,
Yeah.
right? There's not a person here. I didn't bring my credit card. I got to call my nephew and have him run it up to me. It's going to take 15 minutes to shows about. And then like a ton of bricks, I went, oh my God.
Yeah.
The hell is wrong with me? And I think the longer that we're sober, the better a chance we have of getting some control over impulse, right? Because when you're in the life, the difference between me going, wow, what is wrong with me, and just walking out the door is that after 7 years of sobriety, when a really stupid idea comes into my head, these days I don't go, yeah, do it. Yeah, do it. You got this. There's nobody looking, man. Just get out of here. Now I'm to the point where I go, what in the hell am I thinking? Right? It's the same principle as spitting out a lie and immediately going, I don't know why I said that. I am so sorry.
We become we become in our addiction like a 13-year-old in a whole lot of ways.
No question.
I mean, we're lying to everybody over everything. We're doing things we know we shouldn't be doing, but we do it anyway because it feels good. All these other things. But yeah, so We got Steve in here, I think. You want to bring him in, or you want me to wait a minute?
No, we can bring him in.
Okay. Get him in here.
Sabbath, what's happening? You know, I do also want to give a shout out. Cemetery says 11 months and 10 days sober from alcohol. Man, you better tell us when we hit the 1 year mark. That's epic.
That's awesome.
You know, that's one of those really big it's one of those really big milestones.
Yep.
I think, you know, that like Jess yesterday, that first 24 hours is the one that really is just, you know, and then 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, you know, from there it really starts to kick. But those are the early milestones that are just, and you know what, people, I know I've talked to people, it's a number. Whether you're 6 years sober, you're 10 years sober, it's a number. But each of those milestones, you know, makes you stand up a little bit taller,
It builds
right?
confidence, doesn't it?
It builds confidence. You're damn right it does. And you get to that point where you say, I got through this. You start looking back over that year and say, I got through that. I got through the death of so-and-so. I got through this. Makes you know you're bulletproof. Steve, you there, my friend?
Yes, I am.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
So
Glad to hear
I'm
it.
finally healthy again. So
Well, there's something to be said for that.
Yep.
I mean, that really is you know, the whoever said if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Boy, they nailed it. You know, you don't realize how true that is till you're sick for a while. But
Yep, for sure. What you up to today, Steve? You got another dad joke for us?
actually, I should.
Sorry.
What
didn't mean to put you
happens
on the
when a
spot.
strawberry gets run over crossing the street?
It's got to be a
Traffic jam.
man. Wow. That one was rough. I have to say.
yeah,
It
no,
was
seriously. Yeah, you might get that big hook. Like most people, you remember what was that show called? Steve's old enough. Oh, the Gong Show. Remember
Oh
that?
yeah.
Mhm.
They'd be out, they'd give him the hook, the big hook would come out and pull him off
Pull
the
him off
stage.
stage. Yep.
So Steve, the any relapse stories to relate? I mean, do you remember in hindsight going through any of these phases? Do you remember, or you know, there are people I talk to who say that for them they feel like, you know, it just hits them like a ton of
Tomorrow,
bricks.
son.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. My son asked me a question.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
But I always feel like you know, especially in hindsight, it's really identifiable in terms of, you know, when you start sliding, so to speak.
Yeah.
No,
Did you ever relapse, Steve?
me?
Yeah.
No.
No?
Hell, yeah.
Okay.
Well, he
I
he
mean-
dodged. He had a like a quarter relapse, so to speak. It was one of the. Honestly, I know that he beat himself up over it, but for me, it was one of the most impressive things ever. You know, the
That's right. We talked about that here on
yeah,
Okay, I remember now.
he started a relapse and absolutely stopped before he got going.
Yeah.
You know, like got a mouthful and spit it out, which I thought was fairly, you know, that kind of discipline is,
That's
you know.
yeah. That is definitely thinking about what you're doing, and I think
Yeah.
that goes a long way. And let me ask you this too, Steve. You know, after that happened, and you made it past that, did you feel like you were stronger after that? How did that make you feel?
No, you know, as you know, Tommy says that, you know, you're actually been in relapse for, you know, 5 months, whatever.
Right.
And I haven't gotten over the desire to drink. So if it happens, it happens. But
There are people who will, you know, spend the majority of the time that they have left still having that desire. 1 second, Christine, good to see you.
Yep.
I spent about 5 years or so, maybe even a little bit more than that, where like I remember very distinctly talking to my brother Johnny about this on the phone one day, and you know, he was talking about alcohol, and he said, you know, I just don't have any desire, you know, now that it's over. And he said, what about you? And I said, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about it. Like I white knuckled it for about 5 years. I really did. It was something that, you know, I thought about I don't mean every minute of every day, but it was something that I thought about every single day. And I thought, I just wish I could control it. Like that used to be the thing in my head. I wish I had the ability to control it so I could just do it when I want or whatever. Um,
I think
and
most of
I,
us, we white knuckle that at the beginning anyway.
yeah,
I think it's about the only way you can go about it. It's gonna be rough for you. I mean,
yeah.
you agree with that? I mean, that's something that I experienced. And I had a counselor, one of my older counselors, suggest something for me. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It's been a while back, and I didn't do it. And now being 4 or 5 years past that, I wish I had. She suggested that I make a time capsule of my addiction.
Really?
Yeah, and like put together the stuff that I was doing, and you know, she said, wait 4 or 5 years, make another one, and
That's a
then
very interesting concept. Sorry, I'm having cat
so
problems.
you can kind of go back and look, and you can see where you're at, and see how much either you've grown or you stayed in the same place. So I just think that would, that was a good idea, and I just never did it. I,
Would you consider that things like you're putting stuff in there like mementos? Because I mean,
no,
I have journals. You know what I mean? I've been
that's
pretty
more what I was talking about, right?
yeah, I've been pretty vicious. I've been pretty vicious with writing things down. That's one of those things that and for good reason. Some of it had to do with the fact that I really did believe that someday I was going to be doing exactly what I'm doing now.
Right.
Like I was preoccupied with the concept of trying to do something like this for years before I did it. And the other one was that, uh, Q told me all of the drugs he was on and I mean, he had a story very similar to mine. The difference is while I was robbing a bank, I never killed anybody. But our stories were so similar that I thought if this guy could get sober, I'm going to do whatever he tells me. And it's funny, Mark, because earlier you were talking about, you listed all of the things about you that you were unhappy with. Well, he had me do that from the very beginning, right? As part of the 3 steps that we did. And I remember showing him the list and he said to me, no, no, no good. And I was like, what do you mean, no good? And he said, if lying isn't the first thing on this list, you are lying.
Yeah,
You
he
know what I
said
mean?
that to you, huh? Wow, that's kind of what I
Yep.
said earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The lion thing. Yeah, it's amazing how that happens, guys. And I oftentimes say the best things that work are where our ideas overlap.
Yeah.
Whatever we think is working for us and what's working for them. Obviously, what's working for them doesn't always work for us. But if there's things there that overlap multiple people, those are the things you probably really might want to try.
Yeah, the things that have sort of the test of time.
Right.
Seventh, I honestly believe that, um, and you can take it with a grain of salt because I'm as wrong as often as I'm right. But I truthfully and honestly believe that the more time that you spend sober and the more points of connection that you have, that a day may be coming where you don't think about it. I remember, and I remember calling my brother on this one too. But I remember the first day where I was journaling and, doing how was my day kind of a journaling thing. And I went, oh my God, there was at no point today did I think about dope. Like it occurred to me that not once in that entire day, it was the first day of my life, from the time I was 12 or 13 that I got through a day without thinking about getting high. And these days, it's a shocker if I do. If there's a day where the thought of getting high gets through my head, I'm usually pretty freaked out about it, and I'll reach out to Mark or I'll reach out to Alan or my brother or whoever. But and if I'm really thinking about it, I'll reach out to the entire boat.
Yeah.
But it's a very rare thing these days.
Yeah. Steve, I bet I think all of us going through that. I am still very impressed with, you get that far physically getting ready to relapse and you still was able to fight it off. That should tell you exactly where you're at. I mean, that's a strong position. I know it might not seem like it because you had the stuff in your mouth, but you stopped yourself. Okay, that's the biggest thing here, guys. And there's something called a what if video. You guys know what that is? You know what that is, Tommy?
What if video? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
It's something that started with YouTubers, believe it or not. there was a channel called I forget what it was, but the guy's name was Grant. Um, he would do all these kinds of different science experiments, and he did it at his house. He ended up building a really big channel, 1 million subscribers and stuff. I mean, really big channel. Well, he was hand gliding and died. Had a hand gliding accident and died. And what a what if video is it's a video that YouTubers will post to their channel, but they schedule it for 3 days out or for however many days out, usually 3 days. But you have to remember to go back and re-up that 3 days, because what you do is you tell everybody what you want to tell them, but you would already, because what would happen with him, this happened. His what if video posted 3 days later.
Wow.
Because he had passed away. So it's a cool thing in that aspect, because it's almost like, they're speaking, from the grave kind of thing. But that kind of applies to what we're talking about. What if, what if something was to happen here or there, that's part of relapsing. You start thinking about that what if, but if we go ahead and we make our own little what if videos, my suggestion is to use that, and I've done it in my own life. If you're too ashamed to tell people what you've done, you know what I mean? Because there's that shame. You get scared.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to tell people all the bad stuff you've done, but you feel like you need to, and you don't have the courage to really do it. That's a really good way to do it. And I, I've learned from that. I mean, I've been married to my wife for how long? How long have we been married? She ain't answering me.
You can't hear her. She said way too long.
Yeah, way
Just
too
you guys,
long. How long
no,
have
I'm
you been married?
kidding.
29 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
29 years.
I knew that.
Good for you.
Yeah. But we've been married that long, and it was still, I still had, like, I would get embarrassed when I would say certain intimate things to her, like not the word love or any kind of sexual thing, just really telling her how I actually feel.
Yeah.
I would get so embarrassed, I just wouldn't say it. It wasn't that I didn't want to say it, right? I wanted to say it, I just couldn't get it to come out, and so I did that. I made a video. It's actually posted.
Good.
It's actually posted on my channel.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, and I kind of put together some things that I had not said to her in a very long time, and she, I really wanted her to know it, and I just couldn't get myself to say it. And it's a good thing, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you guys can, write journals and stuff down, or just write letters to each other.
Well, what's ironic to me, because after starting the process of getting sober, and then, more importantly, doing these, doing the lifeboat, 400 and a lot of shows, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of shows. It's amazing to me the number of people who would have no problem saying to a group of all of their friends, I got wasted last night, damn, pretty much blacked out. Like I was that wasted last night. But to say to them, I'm sober, I haven't used in 6 months, is somehow embarrassing. And it really speaks, I think, to the stigma that that addiction and recovery have in this country. You're actually sort of frowned upon more for being in recovery than you are for being a partier. And Hollywood makes movies like the Hangover movies, right? Funny as hell, right? 3 guys go out and get so wasted that they don't even know what country they're in.
Usually,
right? Those
it
can be
revolves around alcohol, doesn't it? Usually.
Yeah, alcohol, Rohypnol, right? They did roofies in the first one, but there's all these
just in general. That's
like
a
the real blackouts. Yeah, it tends to, especially with alcohol, because there are so many. It's so accepted in the society, but Hollywood has made it so that kind of stuff is funny to the rest of the world. But it's if you're someone that's living in that life, it's probably the least funny thing in the entire world. But because of the world we live in, it's just not a big deal to say, boy, was I wasted last night. But it's a tough one to go, I got 11 months and 10 days of sobriety. If anything, the upside down life, says Christine, I agree. I think if the lifeboat does anything, for the time that this is on, and I'm of the firm belief that it's going to be on now for forever. But
Yeah.
the what I want the lifeboat to do more than anything is make it so that people that recovery is something that's celebrated. It's not mocked, and it's not seen as a sign of weakness that you needed to quit. It's a sign of weakness when you don't quit. You know, it's a sign of weakness when you're continuing to get high when you know better. But
Right.
I would love for it to just be a more accepted thing. I think that would be if we could leave even on a small segment of society. If Mark and I could leave that mark, I think I would be very happy.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Ain't that kind of what? I mean, it's really what we're. We do it. Keep ourselves. We said it so much. Keep ourselves sober. It helps, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I wouldn't be sober if I wasn't here, but I guarantee you it'd be so much harder.
Hmm.
And that's the point we try to make. And I know that we kind of kick that horse a lot, but it's and that speaks a lot to how important it is to us. You don't do that if you don't think something's important. You're not just going to sit there and just keep saying a bunch of whatever, you know. But yeah, I think that doing it.
Stacy,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Stacy, I absolutely agree. The vast majority of people, in fact, I don't know that there are any people. Perhaps didn't articulate this well enough. What I was saying was this: people feel more shame about saying that they're in recovery than they would say that they were wasted. I'm not referring to the audience listening to them as much as I am the inner shame. Like I have friends who are in recovery, but they don't want anyone knowing they're in recovery. And if we go out and people are ordering drinks and my friend says, I'll just have a club soda with a lime. I said to him, I used to drink club soda with a lime. I kind of like that. I said, but I don't see too many people that drink it. And he said, no, I don't drink it. I mean, I don't enjoy it, but it looks like a vodka drink. And then I don't have to explain to these people that I'm in recovery. And I remember thinking to myself, you should be proud as hell that you're in recovery. That's more of what I was,
Yeah,
you know,
and I think everybody, we all have our level of comfortable, right? I
right.
mean, and I think that for like me and you guys all know why my face ain't out there with Tommy's. I get nervous. That's just who I am. Not that I couldn't beat it because I know I could. I'm sitting here talking to you guys right now, right? And I got my own channel and everything, and I have to say that all this has helped me. And I've had conversations with Tommy about this, and he's even given me pointers about how to keep my, keep from. Believe it or not, Tommy gave me advice on how not to squirrel.
That's ironic.
Yeah, but it works. The stuff that he was saying definitely works. I mean, you guys, we got to lean towards those people that have a specific talent or a strength. Use that. I mean, use it. Obviously, his job was speaking in public, so why would I not ask him the questions that I was asking him? And that's kind of the same thing here when we're talking about addiction and recovery. Why not? Why not talk to somebody that's been through it? Maybe listen to them. You're only going to get what you put in, and you really have to understand that. But yeah. Hey, Tanya.
Thank you, Noise Opera. Tanya, good to see you. Well, Stacy Michaels, it's I would say it's pretty obvious I have no shame. The but the thing is, it's for me, it's about pride. You know what I mean? I'm not particularly proud of the person that I used to be, but I'm damn proud of the person that I put to death. I'm very proud of the things that I eliminated in my character. Because I had the enormous number of character defects I had, far more than the average, and the fact that I've been able to put all of them to bed is something that I'm proud of. So there's no shame in my game either as far as that goes. But I always I don't know, I wish society celebrated sobriety more, but we are in, and I can't believe I haven't said this because it is. I don't have a watch with a date on today, but I believe today is the 10th.
Yep.
You know that this is Overdose Awareness Month.
Yes.
In the U.S. So I we should probably be mentioning that more often.
Probably should. It's a
Yeah,
good thing.
thank you to everybody that has really sort of gone out of their way, to try to
You know, we're
go
gonna
ahead.
we're gonna have my personal counselor that runs my group. She's coming on next weekend. And I'm not sure exactly what day, but me and Tommy, we're going to be doing that with her. And guys, she's got a powerful story. But I bring that up because she is really, really into that. Trying to, that's kind of one of her biggest goals is to get the stuff out there. Make awareness of what we've got going on, because this isn't just a small section of our population. Okay, we're talking large numbers of people. Way larger than some of the things that they spend millions and billions of dollars on.
Yeah.
And how's it going to get any better unless we do celebrate those kinds of things and bring it up to the top? Nobody's going to reach down and grab it. We got to push it to the top. Have to. And Steve's still in here on the phone with us. He does it, writing letters and stuff. Everybody has their own way of doing things. But what you don't want to do is sit down on your hands. You just don't.
No.
Because I promise you, if you get up, and it's just like when you're sick or whatever, if you get up and just do something, you feel better, right? So if you just do something small, make it really small. You ain't got to be, we ain't asking people to save the world. We're just saying, hey, maybe try that. Maybe that'll see how that makes you feel when you see that you're helping somebody. I mean,
And if you like it, step it up. And that's what I think that's a good point. And it's not just for that, but it's for everything. Cemetery said, I'm doing 50 push-ups a day. He said he doesn't consider that much, but it's a start. I would say that I would be willing to bet almost any amount of money, having been in prison and watching, basically in prison, everyone is forced to work out. In the federal system, the other inmates force you to, it's crazy, but you have to work out. And seeing people come in that have never worked out before, I would be willing to bet almost any amount of money that 70 to 80% of the country couldn't do 50 push-ups, cemetery. But and like you said, it's a start in anything that you do. This is one of the things that we've been talking about. Set a goal. If the goal is 5 push-ups, if the goal is 2 push-ups, right? Getting healthy in any way, writing letters, doing anything that you do. All of those things are engaging a part of your brain that doesn't want you to do drugs. When you're working with that part of your brain, you're literally protecting yourself. All of those little things that you do, those are points of connectivity. Rip Curl is here. I just saw him.
He just hopped in there. Yep. Good to see you, Rip. Hope you're feeling better, bud. He was sick.
We're glad to see you up and about then, Rip.
Yep. I tell you what, guys, he's a pillar. I'm telling you. It's not often you run across people, especially that live all the way across the country like me and Tommy do from each other, and we're still there for each other, but we reach out to each other too. But guess what? Rip does that for me and for a lot of other people. And it doesn't even have to. I mean, it's not even something, he just does it. And it's just who he is. So anytime I can repay that by giving him prayers or helping him in any way, I definitely do it. It's just, and that's everybody in here. I would say that to everybody because you guys do that all the time. But yeah, so.
Well, good night, Alan Valentine. I'm hoping the hamstring's feeling better, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, my friend.
And I wanna put something out there too, guys. I may put up a poll, so please click the notification bell. That way you know when the poll goes up in the community tab. I want to, get your guys' ideas on what kind of topics you guys want to talk about. I mean, is there something that you guys are wanting to speak about, or is there something that you think that we could talk about that could, help other people, not even just yourself? Just, if there's something out there you're curious about. Me and Tommy have a pretty good bag of tricks here, guys. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can talk about a whole lot of things, and what I hope for, and I think Tommy would agree with this, is hopefully you'll bring up a subject that me and Tommy know nothing about.
Oh yeah, that we'd have to go out and research. Please bring that up.
Yes,
bring that up. That would be absolutely awesome.
And it would be a learning process for all of us, and I think that that's a really good way to do things. But I just wanted to put that out there, so please keep an eye on your notifications. Please click that bell. Do all the YouTube stuff, subscribe, hit the like button, all that stuff that all the bigger, we don't usually do that, but maybe we should. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Maybe we should start with that stuff.
But guys, please answer the poll if it's a poll
And
or
please,
or just a
survey or whatever.
yeah.
Anything like that. Christine, my hat is off to you. Christine left a comment a little earlier talking about how she had lost her father to alcohol, which is obviously tragic, and her first husband was deep in alcoholism, and she said she took her two young boys and left because she knew that if she didn't, it was the hardest thing she'd ever done. But if she hadn't done that, he never would have gotten sober. And it's pretty courageous stuff. You know, it's many times it's just easier to not, do something like that. And I'm sure that you're right. You know, that if you had stayed there and not done anything, that's good stuff. Brave. My hat's off to you.
And I want to say one more thing, and I guess we'll end the show real quick.
Sure.
We're hitting about an hour. I would love, guys, to because we got quite a few new people here. Some of you guys probably don't even know about our goodbye letters we wrote. I would love to see you guys do that again for us. Okay. I did it. Tommy's wrote those letters. But you write a goodbye letter to your drug.
Your drug of choice. You know what? There may be a chance that you may hear one tomorrow. I got an email. It's a true story. I got an email. I don't know whether it was yesterday or the day before from someone that said they were writing a goodbye letter. Would I want it? And I said yes. And I'm hoping that person is listening to the sound of my voice. Get it over to my email so that we can read it and show everybody else what a goodbye letter looks like, because it really is something that is amazingly effective in sort of ending one chapter in your life and starting the next one. It is a excellent thing to do in recovery. It really is.
Good to see you, Ronnie.
Ronnie Bostic. Good to see you, Ronnie.
Hey, did I miss something, guys? Somebody said something about Marfugel posted something on Saturday. What did I miss there?
Apparently Marfugel posted something.
Yeah, he said, I can't remember who said, wow, Ladybug posted, wow, Marfugel posted something on a Saturday. Oh, get it.
Marfugel doesn't, they don't usually post on Saturday.
Yeah, I missed that part. Yeah, I answered my own question.
Okay, gotcha.
Anyway, but yeah, guys, so, so hopefully we can get some stuff going here for you guys, and guys, please call in. I mean,
give us a call. If something's on your mind, definitely don't be, you guys will get more comfortable. I promise you will, but don't be shy.
You don't have to talk about what we're talking about either, guys. It can be about anything you want to talk about.
Well, that does bring us to that brings us to the top of the hour, people. We will be back tomorrow night. Same bat time, same bat channel. To all of you, between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. And you know what? Pay attention to what's going on, to your feelings. And if you're isolating, right? If you're doing any of those things, if you're bottling stuff up, you're probably in the first phase of relapse. And hit the brakes before you get to the second and the third, because there's nothing good that comes of that. All right. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
And this, people, is a pussycat in the basket. Say goodnight, squirrel. Okay. Camera shy. Good night.